Thank you, Regan. So, hello again. I'm Christina. I'm the park planner, and I'm going to be facilitating this session. And I'm going to allow our my colleagues to introduce themselves and explain their roles in this exercise.
I am Heisubek. I'll be checking time. We're running pretty late, so we might have to move on quickly. So I mean, I would encourage everybody to for whatever activities we're doing. If you're familiar with chat, or if you're able to familiarize yourself with the Mural app, I would highly encourage you to use that. And we'll try to reserve the speaking room for people who are, who are not able to get familiar with that. But I'll keep giving time reminders throughout the activities and monitoring the chat.
Thank you. Regan?
Great. My name is Regan Carver. I'm a public engagement consultant with Brick and Story, and I'm going to be helping out with the activities for in a note taker capacity more than anything, or troubleshooting the mural.
Thank you, Regan. Yeah, Regan, pretty much everybody who wants to talk and respond to this activity, he's going to be pasting the post-it, the sort of demo. So if you don't feel comfortable, you just have to turn on your camera or speak out, and then he's going to be taking the notes on the mural.
And
Um,
just to show in the chat, I'm going to put the hyperlink for the actual mural board so everybody can access it. If can everybody see if you're able to access the mural board?
Great. I'm a rookie at this process, so I'll give it a go. Thank you. I appreciate everything.
Awesome. Thanks,
Whoops,
Diane.
the link disappeared, but
It did?
um,
I'll post it
I
again.
mean, I think it's mainly me.
Here, I'm putting it
Well,
back in the
while we're
chat.
waiting, uh,
yeah,
what are we talking in meeting room for?
yeah.
Okay, I see it again.
While Regan is opening the boardroom, I would explain the activity. So the first board that we're going to be zooming in is the pedestrian network. So what we're going to be doing is this board. It is a snapshot of one of the boards that we use in the June 11 workshop. So what we are asking you to do is we ask where you would like to see lighting, public benches, and street crossings. Um, Regan, are you be able to zoom in and share the screen with us?
I just shared the screen. Can folks see it? I also can make it be easier to see the.
Yeah.
Tell
Can
me how.
everybody see? Can everybody see the screen in the so
Sorry, I'm meandering. Maybe I've got it.
well,
Okay,
you can.
yeah, I have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. So this screen, what we are asking here is like your community had before in our previous meeting, put some lighting and describe where they want to see this lighting. So if you want to speak out and say, hey, I think that we are still missing lighting in some intersections or some specific streets, you can turn your microphone and mention, and then we can try to locate that with Regan. Or if you want to add on the chat, you can say, I think we are missing, and you just describe the location. We are going to be able to find that, and we can also post the lighting. So I'm going to give like a couple of minutes for people to see, is there any lighting missing on some of these streets in Friendship Heights where you would like to see lighting? Are any volunteers on the group?
And of course, you can just use a post-it note at any time as well.
Yeah, I am having trouble, and I'm not the best person on lighting because I don't actually walk at night in Friendship Heights, beyond the the commercial area. So my experience has been in the village of Friendship Heights. It is dark, but I'm I'm not one to really add value to the discussion. So, um,
Anybody in the room that would like to talk about locations that they would like to add lighting? Like in this map, we are showing along Wheeler Avenue, North Park Avenue, near the village center, and then along the back of the Geico, like at end of Streets of Brookdale neighborhood. I just want to see if people agree, disagree. Do they want to add more?
And also, just to tell you, with these post-it notes, you can just click on it and start writing, or also just unmute yourself and tell me where to write at an intersection or a space along a street.
this is
Or you can,
definitely cool, but I'm not navigating it. But
well,
I appreciate what you've done. I think it's kind of phenomenal, but I, it's
you can also mention, you don't have to write on the chat, but if you want to just mention, hey, I would love to see more lighting close to a business, like
I think the lighting's very bad at the Metro building and at Metro.
okay.
The bus station comes out and it is very dark. Um, that's the space I'm most aware of.
So
Yes,
that's
very,
Wisconsin Circle?
yeah. Is it
Um,
the little
it is
triangle area?
actually in the Metro. Is it called the Metro building? I think it is. On top of Friendship Heights Metro.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
the
um,
bus stop area
is
is
in the
very
triangle.
dark.
Yeah.
And even outside on Western Avenue where military intersects with
Mhm.
Western.
So
Mhm.
military Western, um, near the bus area. Cool. It is dark, that area. I'm familiar with that area. Anybody else would like to add where they would like to see more lighting in Friendship
Christine, I
Heights?
think any further lighting comments should go in the chat. I think we need to move on to the next item in this activity.
Okay,
The
so
intersections or benches.
any area that people would like to see um, additional street crossing, and when I say street crossing, it could be a stop sign, it could be a new pedestrian signal, or it could be a full traffic signal. And if you can tell me the location, then Regan can make the note in the post-it.
I'm sorry. Again, are we talking about driveways as well as inter uh,
It's
stoplight
just,
intersections?
yeah, it's just like crossing. It's full intersections, like if you like to, if there is a place that there is, you want to put a stop sign or a pedestrian signal or a full traffic signal, then you can tell us if we think that is missing in Friendship Heights. Can be a mid-block
Um,
crossing as
this is
well.
a variation on a theme. Um, what about um, improve safety at um, entrances and exits from the commercial spaces?
Do you
Is
have
that
a
is
specific?
that in this section or should be elsewhere?
It could be here, but do you know specifically in which street? Do you have a street in mind?
Yes, the Western Avenue entrance into the collection
Okay.
is um, is not pedestrian friendly, given the elevation, given the location of the collection sign that blocks vehicles' view of pedestrians and vice versa.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good comment. Anybody else have any comment in terms of pedestrians and intersection pedestrian crossings? I don't see any hand or people speaking. So,
I
okay. Go ahead.
there is um early morning traffic from Wisconsin Circle or Western Avenue on Wisconsin Circle. I'm I believe they've added a traffic camera at Dorset and Wisconsin, which I think is great. But there is incredible speeding in the early morning up Wisconsin Avenue.
Okay.
And people do not always see the pedestrian light just past in mid block of the collection
I
uh,
see.
across from the um,
Yeah,
Porsche
I see. I know the
studio.
area you're talking about. Yeah,
And
and
pe people
we're
run
gonna
that light.
we're gonna be and Regan, if you don't know what it is, you just make a comment and I can show where to put the post-it once we finish the exercise. I'm gonna move to public benches. Uh, we have a lot of public benches along Wisconsin Avenue. Uh, People would like to see benches anywhere. Oops, actually, sorry, I jumped. Not in the. No, it's not this slide yet. Sorry, it's just public benches in the map. Regan, sorry.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Sorry.
I think we might have to move though. So
Well,
maybe introduce it and let them put it in the chat. If we want to go over all the slides for the next activity.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, one thing I would like to jump is going to be the exercise. We have 5 sites, so I
Which
know
number
these.
should I be on?
Yeah, so we have these 5 sites on this map. The first location is going to be like it's almost like a virtual exercise. We're gonna stop by Bloomingdale's Plaza, then we're gonna stop by the metro area, then we're gonna have the plaza where you have the Starbucks, and then we're gonna have the Saks Avenue site, and then we're gonna end at the Plaza the Collection. The actually what Diane was explaining, the little mid-block plaza. So that's gonna be our last stop. Regan, we might be able to move to the map that show the 5 sites since He's already told me we are running out of
Yeah, sure.
time.
I'll just tell me when to stop, okay?
Okay, yeah, stop there. So those are the 5 sites I described it. And now we're gonna zoom in a picture of each one of them. Starting with the Bloomingdale Plaza area, you can go to yeah. So pretty much in this image, what we are trying to ask um, is this plaza working for you? What do you visit this plaza? Are there any improvements that you would like to see in this plaza? And I'm gonna open for people to speak, then we can make notes, or like Jesus said, you can also add on the chat if you have some comments.
I
If I
defer
may,
to
I two things about that plaza. One, it's a very underutilized space. It's not very welcoming the way it's set up. When they have events there, it's very nice, but those events tend to be few and far between. Um, so I want to make that point. Secondly, I didn't get a chance to talk on the traffic, and I'll put a comment in the chat. But basically, the corner of Somerset Terrace in Wisconsin and Somerset Terrace in Hills, if you know that area, right
Mhm.
behind the medical building, needs better traffic control. That going on Hills onto Somerset Terrace, people run that right, and then they speed up to try to make the left on Wisconsin. There needs to be some kind of traffic control for right-hand turns. There should be a bump out put in there. When Donahue develops it, it's going to get to be a whole lot more crowded back there, and something needs to be done. Likewise, on Wisconsin, there should be a left-hand turn going into Saks. There is no left-hand turn dedicated, no signal for a left-hand turn. And that gets very also crazy. And that whole corner can use better control. It's very dangerous. You have walkers. As there's going to be, construction down by Donahue, it's going to be a very, very bad corner for people and a very bad street. And it's something that you folks really need to focus on. within the community. You're concerned about walking. You're concerned about an elderly population that lives in Friendship Heights community, and better safety action need be taken. So thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Can I
I agree.
go, can I go back to the Bloomingdale Plaza? You say it's a underutilized space. Can you tell me what you think it makes it underutilized?
Well, it's not very welcoming. I mean, there are a couple of benches there. It's open. There's not a whole lot of shade if and it's 100 degrees. I run down Wisconsin Avenue 5 days a week. So I go by it all the time. It is rarely utilized, with people just hanging out. I mean, the whole area, quite frankly, is rarely utilized with people just hanging out. I mean, it's an urban looking Wisconsin Avenue. It's not inviting anywhere. Just like the collection is hidden. The collection, when they have activities there, is very nice. And they get nice crowds. But again, on a day-to-day basis, people go in, they shop, and they leave. And it's very stoned. It's just not inviting to sit down. They have the restaurants there. If you want to sit outside and grab a coffee, that's great. But it's not welcoming for people just saying, hey, let's grab a coffee and sit outside in these open spaces, or let's talk, or let's walk there. It's just not inviting. It's a concrete presenting space, let me put it that way, that doesn't say to you, hey, let's sit down, let's take a break, let's talk, let's just chill, read a book. How many people do you see on Wisconsin Avenue or in that vicinity just having a read? You don't. And I've been doing it and living here for a long time. And it's just not hospitable for that kind of activity. And
Oh,
that's unfortunate.
thank you for your comment. I do agree.
I'm intrigued by your comment, and I agree to many of your statements. I see our problem in Friendship Heights is that Friendship Heights has property owners have given up on Main Street vendors. So, you don't go there multiple times a day because one doesn't need to go to these particular kind of stores. So,
I see. So, Diane, would it be fair if a comment such as you would like to see more the type of retail to be more sort of a daily basis retail?
I'm I'm surprised that the Friendship Heights property owners and leasing have given up Main Street vendors. I have been here for decades, and in many of the surveys that people want a drugstore, people want a full grocery store. We had all these things. So, can Friendship Heights, with the cost of reconstruction and renovation, still provide Main Street vendors?
Okay.
I'm concerned about the economics of Friendship Heights.
Okay.
Christina, we're going to have to move on to the next slide.
Okay. So thank you, Diane, for that.
Yeah, Christina, if I may just wrap that up, and I'm sorry, Jose. Where you see people sitting is in front of Starbucks, in front of 5454. Now, you tell me a less inviting space. I mean, you're tucked in the corner in a stone area. And that's where people congregate. That's it.
Let's jump. Regan, if you just can go to 54, since we are talking about that already, can you go to number 3 and then we can come back to the other one? So since you are talking about that, how do you feel about this plaza? And what do you go there? How often do you go? What you would do to improve this location? That is exactly the location that you were describing, Scott.
Yeah.
Is the Starbucks, and then you have the emergency care area, and then is a little bit sunken plaza towards the end. So you said that was more enclosed, right?
Yes. And the Starbucks is tucked in the corner. There's no amenity, that there's no warmth in any of that. You're sitting outside a Starbucks because you just got a Starbucks and you don't want to sit inside a Starbucks. But it's Starbucks put up, maybe if they redevelop it, they'll be nicer, but it's not particularly nice seating. It's not comfortable. It doesn't say to you, sit down here, have a chat, play a game of chess or some cards while you're drinking your coffee with your friends. It doesn't tell you any of that. It's purely, drink it, get up and go. The rest of that plaza isn't the least bit inviting. There are some chairs and some people waiting for urgent care sometimes are sitting there. But it's not it's dirty, it's grimy, or got a city street, a lot of traffic on Wisconsin Avenue. There's no barrier. I mean, you're down a little bit, but there's no real barrier. And again, it doesn't say relax, chill, live out your life in this space. I'm not an urban planner, so I can't tell you what the current technology is or what people now do to try to make things more attractive, to invite rather than repel. But to me, this is not an inviting location. Sure, I'll sit there sometimes when I'm having my coffee, but it's just to drink the coffee and go.
No,
I
thank you.
agree.
Good. And is anybody else in the group that would like to give some input on that plaza in front of Starbucks and the emergency care? I'm not
I think he
seeing.
captured it.
Okay. So let's move back to well, actually, how we are doing on time, Jesus?
Pretty bad.
Should keep moving. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move to the Saks site. Yeah, the Fifth Avenue site. So what you are
What
seeing
number
on
is
the
that?
left, what you're seeing on the left is the existing site, where you have the big parking lot and then you have the store at the end. What you are seeing on your right is just images for inspiration. It might not be your inspiration, it's just a couple of examples. And so our question for you is, what do you like to see once this site redevelop in the future? What feeling you like to see? Would you like to see storefronts like we have along the collection? Would you like to see more green? You like to see a park? I'm biased because I'm for parks, but would you like to see public art? What do you like to see on the site along Wisconsin, and how and what type of things you would like to see along and inside the site? I'm going to open for comments.
Also, one thing just to interject, one of you guys is using the text functionality of Mural, but it's much better if you use sticky notes. It's totally up to you, but it's easier to use sticky notes.
Thanks. That's way beyond my skill set.
Oh, people are very courageous. They are trying.
Oh, no,
Um,
I think that's cool. I think this is an amazing opportunity, as long with Geico, which, I mean, with Geico changing its location and the negatives of that, which without employees. Anyway, these two sites can be a game changer for Friendship Heights. And I hope we don't do, little itty bitty ideas. That this is big, big ideas. Friendship Heights has never had the amenities that it should have for its population. We are already, you know, we Friendship Heights is not a suburbia. It's been dense for a long time. It was a trendsetter. So I think this is a very exciting opportunity, and I hope we won't piddle it away with small ideas.
so do you have a big idea that you like to share with the group? This is the
Well,
time.
uh, we don't if you look at recreational publics, the 2022 pros study, yeah, it, we need to look at what is missing from Friendship Heights, not on a narrow level, but on a level that really builds a community. I'm looking for a visionary. We need big time vision. We've got Friendship Heights is a very small area, especially in Maryland. And we can't even ever compete with Friendship Heights, DC. I mean, we're talking about acres and acres, and they're going to have new buildings and new commercial. And, we have to be strategic in how we develop Friendship Heights, Maryland for the best of Montgomery County and Friendship Heights.
Is there any image
Let
that we
me let me
show that?
let me say, Christina, obviously the Saks spot is a huge property. What I would not like to see as a resident here a long time is just be building more concrete cannons. There is no reason why Friendship Heights has to look like downtown Bethesda, where
I
it's just one
agree.
high rise after another. And sure, over towards Connecticut, you get a couple of parks back in there, but and you have the path if you head into downtown Bethesda on the other side. But there's no real space for people walking. Some of the restaurants have nice outings there. But on the Wisconsin Avenue itself, it is not terribly attractive and terribly friendly for pedestrians. And I would not like to see Friendship Heights just replicate that because the builders and developers want to go for height. I would love to
Yes.
see the Saks area set up with more low rises, with parking underground, with open space, with
Yes.
storefronts and amenities that are usable for the community, not just usable for the residents there, to make it somewhat of a center for people to join, because we don't have that. And that is such a big space. I would like to think it could still be financially viable for the developers if they don't put up, 3 or 4, 22-story apartment buildings, there. And
I-
hopefully you can, work that out with them.
And
We
with
have
that,
2 minutes left. We have 2 minutes left and two
okay,
slides left. I don't know if we might have to skip one or
yeah, let's skip the
go
the
really quick with
because
both of them.
I
Go,
know
go, go.
Diane mentioned that plaza already, so let's move to the um
Slide
last
two,
slide.
benches.
No, let's move to the
Or
last.
next step.
This one, okay.
What is
Yeah,
it?
so the
Number
Plaza
five.
the Collection, this is the mid block, this is along the collection. This plaza, from my experience, is very empty. So I'm curious to see, do you use this plaza?
I am very grateful that Chevy Chase Land didn't build every single space on Wisconsin Avenue. So I want to commend them for leaving the breaks of big buildings, etc. So uh I would have had these spaces bigger. I would have had Wisconsin Circle, the building not go right up to the sidewalk on Wisconsin Circle to make the collection more open. So um, this is not bad. It could be better, but that's my feeling.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go switch back to the slide that we skipped to see if we can at least add a note there to take advantage that we have to wrap up soon in a minute. So Regan could just move to two,
To two.
To
yeah,
two.
number
Uh,
two. Oh, yeah,
oh,
because we have like 56 seconds. Maybe they can provide one comment. Yeah,
sure.
so this is like we have these benches along Wisconsin. Do you think that other places will benefit from more benches? And I did hear, Scott, you mentioned that maybe some benches with shade on the Starbucks would be nicer, like in a more welcoming way. So I heard that. So we can put it there. Anybody else? Any other comment about we have?
These are benches without Main Street vendors.
Okay.
Uh, does someone going to Porsche, after looking at a Porsche, go out to a bench? So it is the choice of vendors that make benches not as useful. I mean, I like benches, don't get me wrong,